I'll be right there. Don't go anywhere. I'm printing something out. All right. All right, guys. Oh, let's put that up a little bit. What'd you say?
You gotta sing for them or something while you're
I should have played some music or something, right? All right. So, in case you haven't heard by now, the bump stock ban is official. I said this when the ATF initially put this rule up on their ruling page. I shared this a few months ago, and I explained to people that this thing is going to be a done deal. And um, of course, I kept getting the standard reply from Trump supporters and the butter crowd and the gun rights movement that are apologizing and trying to defend the fact that the president has done nothing to stop this rule from taking effect. And I got the same argument then that I'm getting now. And that is, don't worry, it's not going to take effect and Trump's not going to let this happen. This is just a game. He's playing 4D chess. I'm so tired of hearing that. He's playing 4D chess. I'm sorry, but if we're the ones losing, I don't want him playing any chess whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, I was told not to worry, and you were told, we were all told not to worry that this was just a ploy. Trump was never going to let this pass. Well, here we are today, 90 days after this ruling was submitted, and that came a few months after the National Rifle Association, after the shooting in Las Vegas, actually posited and said that the Justice Department and the ATF and whomever should look into the legality of the bump stock. So the NRA started this, and Trump picked up on it, and Boom, there you go. Now we are where we are. So, for those people that are trying to tell me and tell all of us and trying to apologize for what happened, look, a lot of us need to take a really deep look inside and recognize that we've become, many of us, not me, that we have become exactly what we criticized Obama and his supporters of being, and that is a blind and obedient sycophant for the president. Okay, when the president makes mistakes, it's not our job to go out there and cover for him, and especially when it relates to our liberty and rights. Okay, I support the president on more things than I don't, but this is a big issue for me. We were told we were going to get a pro gun president, and I'm going to tell you something. We got nothing. And in chess, all right, for those of you talking about, well, we're playing chess or whatever, well, in chess, when I sacrifice a pawn, it's because I'm going to get something in return. We've gotten nothing in return. We didn't get the Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. We didn't get the Hearing Protection Act. We didn't get the ability to carry in places that we can't carry right now. We didn't get the ability to film in our courtrooms. We got zip for this rule. So if you're going to play chess, you need to play chess to win. But look, I've gotten to the point where I don't want to play chess. I want my rights respected. And by golly, if you're going to play chess, you need to tell me what your plan is. But I don't think there is a plan. I don't think this is 4D or 5D or 2 million D chess. I think this is basically a president who lied to us about gun control. This is a president who was big on the fix nix thing. This is the president who said he will take the guns and worry about due process later. And this is the president who now has officiated and administrated over a bump stock ban. Now, there are many of you out there that are like, wait a minute, but, it's just a bump stock, man. They're stupid. Who needs a bump stock? What do you need a bump stock for? Well, I'll agree to all the above. No one needs a bump stock. Bump stocks are stupid. I don't see a good purpose for bump stocks. But if we think it's okay that just because we don't think we need a bump stock or that they're stupid or that they're not good or whatever, well, you know what? Painting my rifle like a stormtrooper rifle is stupid. So should the president go ahead and ban me being able to paint my rifle? Should he ban pistol grips on rifles? Should he ban magazines? Should he ban flash suppressors? Should he ban trigger kits? Should he ban collapsible stocks? Should he ban high magnification scopes? Should he ban IR lights? Should he ban night vision scopes? Should he ban? I mean, where do you end? At what point do you say, oh, wait, now we've gone too far? Well, guess what? That point, you've already gotten to that point. So, it kind of reminds me of that old poem, first they came for, insert the group here. First they came for the bump stocks. Well, first they came for fixed nicks and I said nothing. And then they came for the bump stocks and I said nothing. And now they're coming for me, but there's nobody else left to speak for me. Where do you draw the line? If you're allowing bump stocks and you think it's okay and you're going to support this president, you think he's going to change? If he thinks he's got your support over banning a bump stock, don't you think he's going to think he's got your support for banning other things that have to do with our firearms? And let me tell you, a bump stock, as stupid as it is, okay, I don't want or need a bump stock either. But a bump stock, as stupid as it is, there's a place for that. If we get to a tyrannical form of government, we can't have machine guns. So how are we going to lay down suppressive fire? How are we going to lay down suppressive fire against the government entity that's gone tyrannical that we have to fight against as a militia and as a people? The bump stock would have been a great way to lay down some suppressive fire or at least do a little better job with what we've got. So there is a place for it in the Second Amendment underneath the militia clause. So, but it doesn't matter if there's a place for it or not. The fact of the matter is that, and this is a fact, and I dare anyone to challenge me on this, so far Obama has done more for gun rights than President Trump has. President Trump has done more for gun control than President Obama has. Why? Because under the first 2 years of President Obama's administration, the ban on carrying in national parks was lifted. Also, in the first 2 years of the President Obama administration, we were able to carry firearms on Amtrak, which used to be illegal. What has Trump given you and I as gun owners? What has he done other than start banning stuff and talk a big game about gun control, about taking away our due process, taking away our guns first, and then figuring out if they've got the things, okay? So he cuts off your finger. You say, okay, well, I've got 9 more fingers, and then another finger. So for those of you that are out there supporting Trump, I don't want to hear it. Okay, we as patriots, as people who believe in liberty, this has got to be the moment where we tell Trump, no, that's enough. Enough is enough. You have crossed a red line for us. And it might be bump stocks today, but what's it going to be in the next day? Look, I've read this. It's 157 pages. I was going to print out the whole thing, and I was like, well, I'm not going to print out the whole thing, but I'm going to read you the summary of this new rule that just went into effect. The Department of Justice is amending the regulations of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives to clarify that bump stock type devices, meaning bump fire stocks, slide fire devices, and devices with certain similar characteristics. Similar characteristics. Does that include binary triggers now? Does it include my belt loops? That's a device. And I can use my belt loops to do the exact same thing. I can use a rubber band to do the exact same thing. Are rubber bands now considered banned in this country? And similar device characteristics are, quote, machine guns as defined under the NFA of 1934 and the Gun Control Act of 1968, because such devices allow a shooter of a semi-automatic firearm to initiate a continuous firing cycle with a single pull of the trigger. This is false. Now, the good news is, and I haven't read the lawsuit from Gun Owners of America yet, but I do know that Gun Owners of America is suing because of this ban, because the ban itself actually makes no sense whatsoever. It's banning a device, but then giving a completely false reason for why it's doing it, because it says right here that it allows the shooter of a semi-automatic firearm to initiate a continuous firing cycle with a single pull of the trigger. A bump stock does not do that. All a bump stock does is it allows for multiple squeezes of the trigger because the rifle keeps buttoned up against where the finger is resting on the slide. All right? So it's one pull of the trigger. It's just one pull of the trigger happening at an extremely fast rate. Different trigger pulls. So there is no continuous trigger pull. So the rule itself, and I hope GOA is going to, and I'm sure they are, because those are very smart guys over there. I support them 100%. But I hope GOA is bringing this up, that the fact that this rule, first of all, bans bump stocks, but it does so for the wrong reasons. And it shows the ignorance of the people who are making the rules on us. Okay? Let me continue here. Specifically, these devices convert an otherwise semi-automatic firearm into a machine gun by functioning as a self-acting or self-regulating mechanism that harnesses the recoil energy of the semi-automatic firearm in a manner that allows the trigger to reset and continue firing without additional physical manipulation of the trigger by the shooter. Except that the physical manipulation of the trigger is happening the exact same way. If you've got a light trigger pull on a rifle, so this is the other problem. What if we start getting triggers in there that have, I don't know, a 1 pound trigger pull or less? And that makes you, the faster you can flick your finger, the faster you can shoot. That's exactly what a slide fire or a bump stock does. So they're pretty much contradicting themselves here. Hence, a semi-automatic firearm to which a bump stock type device is attached is able to produce automatic gunfire with a single pull of the trigger. Again, there is no single full pull of the trigger with a bump stock device. It is multiple squeezes of the trigger. With limited exceptions, the Gun Control Act, as amended, makes it unlawful for any person to transfer or possess a machine gun unless it was lawfully possessed prior to the effective date of the statute. The bump stock devices covered by this final rule were not in existence prior to the effective date of the statute, which was 1934 and 1968, and therefore will be prohibited when this rule becomes effective. Folks, if that's the defining characteristic of what makes something lawful or unlawful, is that when a statute was passed, it was in existence, we have issues. What else can be banned because they can retroactively apply it to the law? Consequently, under the final rule, current possessors of these devices, listen to this. This is where the violence comes in. So far in this country, and I'm going to, as an aside, we've had one issue with a bump stock. One psychopath that used the bump stock to kill a bunch of people. One. And it's going to lead to this right here. Under the final rule, current possessors of these devices will be required to destroy the devices or abandon them at an ATF office prior to the effective date of this rule, which is in March. 90 days. 90 days from today. Now, this begs the question, folks. There are 500,000, give or take, 500,000 bump stocks out there. 500,000 people just became felons. Like that. The government just created 500,000 felons. Now, obviously, they don't know where all of them are, but, you know, I bet you they're probably starting to troll Facebook and YouTube and chat boards, all those kinds of things, looking for people that probably started buying these. So now you've got 500,000 felons. How are they going to, what if 500,000 people decide they're not going to turn in their bump stock? Guess what happens? Violence ensues. The government sends state enforcers. And who are those state enforcers? Take a guess. Guess who those people are that are going to come and get those when they find out about them? And guess how they're going to do it? By force. If you won't turn it in, guess who's going to take it from you? The government. And guess who the government's going to send? They're not going to send the Army. They're not going to send the Marines. They're not going to send the military. They're going to send the police. And the police are going to come and they're going to take them. And people are now, instead of one issue with bump stocks, you've just created 500,000 issues with bump stocks. And now the government will use violence to take them from you because you are now a felon if you don't turn them in and they find out that you have them. God forbid someone rats you out after March. God forbid you get in some other kind of trouble in which there's an allegation against you and someone finds out that you had a bump stock for a minor issue. All of a sudden now your minor issue made you a felon. So the time to do something about this, hopefully the GOA, hey, look, I've always said there are three things that have to happen. This is the logic according to CJ, okay? The first thing is you have to have a failure of the police system. And these are the three stages that I think are necessary for a revolution to happen. First, you have a failure of the police state, in which the police decide they can do whatever they want. And the people are the victims of this. And there's debate on whether or not we've reached that stage. The second stage is that the court fails to protect the people from the police. So the courts fail to do their job to protect the people from the police. That's the second stage of failure. The third stage of failure is that the legislatures fail to put the courts back in line by passing laws that protect the people from the police. Once all three of those fail, okay, when the courts fail to protect the people from the police and the legislature fails to protect and put the courts back in line, the only thing left when you have no legislative avenues, you have no judicial avenues, and you have no enforcement avenues of people who have taken an oath to support your rights and defend your rights, then there's only one other place to go, and that's revolution. I don't think we're close to all three of those yet. I do think that there are degrees of each one that have already fallen. There are already dominoes that are fallen. But look, if you support Donald Trump, and for the most part, I still do. But I'm not an idiot. I have a brain in my head. I'm not a sycophant. I hope you're not sycophants either. I'm not a sycophant in that I think that Donald Trump is this God that's going to save us from everything. I'm also not a sycophant that thinks there's only one of two choices. I'd rather, hey, at least it's not Hillary. That's a stupid analogy. If you think that it's okay that we have some tyranny because we didn't get more tyranny, then don't you think the system's broke as it is? So if you truly support Donald Trump and you support him because you support rights and liberty, then you should be standing on the top of the mountain, screaming and yelling at your president to stop this madness and to reverse this rule, to get rid of this rule. And here's another thing. Trump promised that for every rule that was passed, he was going to repeal 2 rules. Well, what 2 rules got repealed from the ATF now that the ATF has passed this rule? What did we as gun owners get? We got nothing. Absolutely nothing. But we lost something. And now 500,000 people out there who just yesterday were perfectly law-abiding citizens who weren't a threat to anyone are now going to be felons if they do what they should do, which is stick the middle finger up to the government trying to take away their bump stocks. Now, I don't want to hear this crap about, oh, I support my president. This is 4D chess. Prove it. Show me. Nobody yet has been able to show us. So please support Gun Owners of America. All right. They are filing a lawsuit against the government on this because, quite frankly, the federal government, the Constitution's quite clear. Shall not be infringed. Of course, then you've got all the people out there that are saying, oh, it's not a firearm, so it doesn't violate the Second Amendment. Well, they just said it. It's a machine gun. The ATF just called it a machine gun. So, for those of you that think this is fine, all the ATF has to do is identify a 30-round magazine as a machine gun. All the government has to do is create a definition out of thin air. They can call anything they want, and suddenly you've lost your rights. So, where do you draw the line? You don't have to support bump stocks. You don't have to own a bump stock. You don't have to think that they're God's gift to anything. But you do have to support the right to own a device for lawful purposes. There is nothing wrong with owning a bump stock. The bump stock doesn't hurt anybody. It's the people that take a bump stock or a rifle or a pistol or a baseball bat or a golf club or whatever it is and turn it into a weapon. So if you truly support liberty, you will stop with your blind devotion to a president. He's still a politician, whether you think he is or not. And he's still the head of this government that just banned a device that is put on a firearm. And if he can do that, he can ban anything. If the government can ban a bump stock, a government can ban anything. It can ban pistol grips, slings. It can ban you from having more than one gun, rifle cases. It's unlimited. Rifle scopes. What if next time a guy shoots at night using a night vision scope and kills a bunch of people at a concert? Now we're going to lose our night vision scopes or IR scopes. Or what if he does it from a long way away? Now we're going to lose our hunting scopes that allow me to shoot out 800, 900 yards? Because that's exactly where we're getting. And there are bills in Congress right now that will ban 3D printing, that will ban every semi-automatic rifle. Yes, Boomer, exactly. How many bullets you can have? What's to stop them from saying how many bullets you can have? Hey, the guy in Vegas, he shot over 500 rounds, so we don't think people need more than 50 rounds to hunt. No, actually, we don't think they need more than 20. 1 box per person, that's it. Because that's all you need for self-defense. If you can't kill whatever threatens you in 20 rounds, then you deserve to die. That's the government's philosophy. Or we should kill you. That's the government's philosophy. So, wake up, conservatives. Wake up, libertarians. Wake up, Trump supporters. Okay, you can still support your president and criticize him over this. And stop falling for this nonsense about it being 4D chess and that Trump is playing a game. Yeah, he's playing a game. He's playing you. That's what he's doing. So, if you go to Open Carry Texas Facebook page, I have a link up there to the full 157-page report. I only read the summary of that report, but you can read the whole thing. And there really is a lot of danger in this rule. The government will use violence to take these things from you. 500,000 Americans, give or take, are suddenly felons because the federal government made a rule and changed a definition. And guess what? The government is seeing exactly what's going to happen. It's seeing how sheepish so many of you out there who call yourselves patriots are. You're starting to see, look, those of you that are supporting Trump over this and trying to make excuses for him, you are no better than Obama's supporters. You are no better than Obama's voters, and you're no better than Obama because they did the exact same thing, making excuses when he screwed something up. You're no different than that. If you're not going to hold politicians, your politician, accountable, then what's the point? What is the point of even voting? You might as well have a dictator, but at least it's your dictator, right? Is that what you're okay with? The fact that it's your dictator? Is no problem having a dictator or a king as long as it's your king, right? Well, that's what Obama had for his people. They had their king, and we didn't like it, did we? So our chickens have come home to roost. And I really hope you guys will wake up and recognize the danger in this bump stock ban. And please support Gun Owners America. If you've got $5, I know it's Christmas time, go and give Gun Owners of America $5. The NRA started this. This is the NRA's baby right here. What just happened here? The NRA started that. Almost immediately after the Las Vegas shooting, the NRA went to the government and said, oh, you guys might want to look into these bump stocks because they might violate the NFA. Guess what that did? That just gave Trump and a bunch of people, hey, if the NRA supports it, it can't be gun control, right? Except that the NFA came around because of the NRA. It's the whole reason we have these bans is because they supported it. All right, guys, I'm starting to repeat myself.
Yeah, you are.
There you have it. See, my wife even agrees. I'm starting to repeat myself. But if you can give the Gun Owners of America $5, please do, because they're the only ones fighting this. I don't see the NRA fighting this because the NRA is responsible for us having this rule to begin with. Why would they sue for something that they wanted to begin with? So, all right. Hey, Tucson Police Suck. How you doing? Welcome in. Justin Pulliam. Thank you. And so you can also see on GOA, I'm trying to find the link on here. I thought I had it. On gunowners.org, they do have a link to their press release. And we will do whatever we can here in Texas to make sure that... so one of the things we need here in Texas, by the way, and I'm going to end this because this is new. There is a bill that's been filed that we're going to fight a little harder for now that this has happened. And it's a bill that makes it illegal for state resources. So if you're a law enforcement department that receives money from the state, but it forbids state law enforcement from enforcing federal gun control laws that are more strict than state law. It also forbids them from enforcing federal laws for intrastate firearms. So a firearm that was made here in Texas and sold here in Texas. And that's where this is where the 10th Amendment comes in, folks. So I guarantee you Open Carry Texas will also be fighting at the state level. We're going to let GOA fight at the national level against that while we fight at the state level to make sure that no matter how many rules the ATF passes, they don't affect us here in Texas. And I know there are some people that don't live in Texas, but I would that are watching this. So I would hope that some of you that don't live in Texas, you ask for the same thing in your state as well. And I know some states are lost, but I'm going to go to a Martin Luther King quote where he said, "Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, and injustice against the bump stock is an injustice against the Second Amendment." Plain and simple. All right, I've got about 30 seconds before my 30-minute that I gave myself.
You told me quick.
That's quick. 30,
Not quick.
30 minutes is quick. My wife says we're going to watch Venom. We just got the Venom movie.
10 minutes is
All right, so I don't think anybody else has got anything. So there you go. Stand up for liberty, folks. And you can't call yourself a patriot. You can't say you believe in gun rights if you're willing to surrender some of them. If you're willing to surrender a little bit of any right, you're willing to surrender the right completely. Take care. God bless. Be safe. Be free.